Hare Krishna, dear devotees. 3. Today we are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 3, verses 128 onwards. You can see there? Jara Jara, is that the one? Yes, okay. Jara Jara Haila Prabhu Bhavera Prabhare. Bhumite padila Bhumite padila shvasa nahika sharire. Jara Jara Haila Prabhu Bhavera Prabhare. Bhumite padila shvasa nahika sharire. Jara Jara Haila Prabhu Bhavera Prabhare. Bhumite padila shvasa nahika sharire. Prabhu?
Jara Jara Haila Prabhu Bhavera Prahare.
Jara Jara Haila Prabhu Bhavera Prahare.
Bhumite Padila Shwasa Nahika Sharire.
Bhumite padila shvasa nahika sharire.
Jara Jara Haila Prabhu Bhavera Prahare.
Jara Jara
Bhumite Padila Shwasa Nahika Sharire.
Bhumite Padila Shvasa Nahika Sharire.
Thank you, Mataji. Jara Jara Haila Prabhu Bhavera Prabhare. Bhumite padila shvasa nahika sharire. Jara Jara Haila Prabhu Bhavera Prabhare. Bhumite padila shvasa nahika sharire. Thank you. The entire body, translation of Srila Prabhupada, the entire body of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to totter due to the onslaught of various ecstatic symptoms. As a result, he immediately fell to the ground and his breathing almost stopped. So, we don't have much time, so I'm just going to go through the verses. Next verse, 129. Upon seeing the condition of the Lord, all the devotees became very anxious. Then suddenly, the Lord got up and began to make thundering sounds. Upon standing up, the Lord said, "Go on speaking, go on speaking." Thus he began to dance, overwhelmed with pleasure. No one could understand the strong waves of this ecstasy. Verse 131. Lord Nityananda began to walk with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to see that he would not fall, and Advaita Acharya and Haridas Thakur followed them dancing. Verse 132. In this way the Lord danced for at least 3 hours. Sometimes the symptoms of ecstasy were visible, including pleasure, moroseness, and many other waves of ecstatic emotional love. The Lord had been fasting for 3 days, and after that period he took eatable sumptuously. Thus, when he danced and jumped high, he became a little fatigued. Being fully absorbed in love of Godhead, he would not understand his fatigue, but Nityananda Prabhu, catching him, stopped him dancing. Although the Lord was fatigued, Nityananda Prabhu kept him steady by holding him. At that time, Advaita Acharya suspended the chanting, and by rendering various services to the Lord, made him lie down to take rest. For 10 continuous days, Advaita Acharya held feasting and chanting in the evening. He served the Lord in this way without any change. That was the 136. We concluded on that one. 136. Today's verse is Jara Jara Hoile Prabhu Bhavera Prahare Bhumite Padila Shvasanahika Sharire. The entire body of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to totter due to the onslaught of various ecstatic symptoms. As a result, he immediately fell to the ground and his breathing almost stopped. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyanan Jana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukham Karoti Vachalam Bhangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Bringa Govinda Swaminiti Namine. I tricked you. There will be a little discussion about our current condition. These verses describe highly elevated stages of devotional love, devotional service. We could say this is the postgraduate study of bhakti. And I will not attempt to explain things due to the lack of understanding. Regardless, we will go through a few points, and hopefully that will be helpful for the assembled Vaishnavas. There are, before we arrive at this advanced level, we have this predicament, the current predicament. It's called the conditioned nature or conditioned state. And in this conditioned state, our main understanding is that everything is revolving around me. Everything is about me. I have to enjoy. Whatever I see, I have to enjoy. Srila Prabhupada said once that we suffer two diseases. Simple. We suffer in this material world two diseases. One is called, we have a skin condition. We think we are this body. And then we have this vertigo. We think everything is spinning around us. So we are always in the center of the world. So only these two diseases we suffer from. And then on the opposite side, we have the transcendental or the liberated state. And clearly this is only about, Krishna. We understand our inherent position. We know the sambandha. We know that we are not this body, we are spirit souls, eternal parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality. And then we have, in this mentality, we have this, it's not even an obligation anymore, because it's the nature. It's the nature of the soul to see everything in connection with Krishna. If we don't see everything in connection with Krishna, that means we are contaminated. Sometimes we think that a good idea, a good concept, a good ism is also worth throwing into the pile. But no, it's all just part of this material realm. Until we get to the point of full, unconditional understanding of our position, there is no talk of what we're going to talk shortly, transcendental ecstasies. I found a wonderful verse. This is from where is it from? Srimad Bhagavatam, yes. This is again a Prahlad Maharaj saying this. Nate vidhusvarta gatim hi Vishnum durasya durashaya ye bahirartamanina anda yathandair upaniyamanas tepisham tantriyam urudhami baddha. Some of you already know this verse, it's a very famous verse. Persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life and who have therefore accepted as their leader or guru a similar blind man attached to external sense objects cannot understand that the goal of life is to return home back to Godhead and engage in the service of Lord Vishnu. As blind men, guided by another blind man, miss the right path and fall into a ditch. Materially attached men, led by another materially attached man, are bound by the ropes of fruitive labor, which are made of very strong cords, and they continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering the threefold miseries. Very complex, very, very deep. So the principle is that we need to see everything in connection to Krishna. That is where our paradigm shift starts. Without that, that's actually the basis, that's the foundation. And the Shastra explains that we perceive the Supreme on three various levels, like Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And everything we interact with, everything we see, all elements of this existence are actually part of the Supreme, and they manifest through these three principles. So let's say we have you, Shyamagori, you were talking earlier about your sari or that dress. What is it that attracts you in that skirt? What is that attracts you? Why that skirt? What was the thinking behind when you this morning you opened your cupboard and you picked a skirt? Why that one? So she hadn't had enough time to prepare, so this was a quick choice. So in this instance, what we are seeing is that instantness, that immediate principle of right now. Right now, I have a solution. So that principle of immediateness, for a better word, is actually Krishna. So if I see the world in this, what do you call it, in this vision, then I can connect even such a mundane activity to Krishna. Because Krishna represents this energy of immediateness. It's a solution. It works. Why does it work? Because it is empowered through Krishna. Now, I don't see no one taking notes today, so I was too ambitious. Oh, there are notes, okay. Anna, show me your pen, please. Why that pen? Why that pen? What attracts you in that pen? Why have you chosen that pen when you purchased it or picked it up from your drawer? Also, it was cheap. All right. So the principle of cheapness, the principle of affordability, you understand? That I can approach something without much effort. I can have it even if I don't have much money. So that principle behind it is Krishna. That's the energy behind it. Some of you will say, oh, it's expensive. Okay, then that's what it is, the opulence of it. Some will say, I like the color of the ink in it. Okay, the shade of blue is what Krishna is represented in. Some of us sit on a cushion or a pillow. Megambari, why? Why do you choose to sit on that pillow instead of the chair? Can you tell me?
Because now it's better for my back.
So it's better for her back to sit on that soft cushion. But you can sit on the floor. Why not on the floor? The floor is cold, and the cushion provides warmth and support for the back. Again, so this clearly is just few examples, but if you try to train our mind to see in this way, it will be very easy for us to connect everything to Krishna. Currently, what we have, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said this, I really love this example. When we are on the street doing Sankirtan and we see people looking, everyone is looking, always there is some kind of looking, everyone is, it's called the sensual gaze of investigation. How can I enjoy that? How can I gain from what I'm seeing? How will I be benefiting from what I'm seeing? So that materialistic look, which you notice in the materialists, is called leengeded a rollot, kérlek, Govinda Hari Prabhunak ne süsse ki a szemét, köszönöm. That materialistic look is filled with this mentality, how will I enjoy? And Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said the sensual gaze of inspection, yeah. It's really nice. Okay, so clearly, now we are devotees. We have been devotees for a while. We have read our scriptures, our Shastra, and basically we now have the opportunity to connect everything to Krishna by seeing things. And some of these things will be more what we would call triggering. Let's say we look at the altar, that's quite obvious. Sometimes it's not that obvious, but if we are studying, then we will be able to connect everything to Krishna. Sometimes we see, on a more advanced level, we see a tulsi leaf, we remember Krishna. We see a peacock feather, we remember Krishna. We see like karatals that can remind us of Harinam, of Krishna. But in this respect, everything is connected to Krishna. Another wonderful verse, this is from Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Okay, dearer to the Lord than even his own beautiful form, his easily worshipped holy name benefits the entire world. Indeed, nothing is as full of nectar as the holy name of the Lord. This is a wonderful verse. It helps us go through this transition of how can I see Krishna. So now this verse is actually talking about comparing the physical form of Krishna to his holy name. And what it does, it explains, Sanatana Goswami explains here that the connection with the holy name is sweeter than seeing Krishna in person. Can you imagine that? What does that mean really? In this verse there is this, it's called sarasam. Sarasam. There is this Dittam Sukha. Hare Krishna, welcome. It's sarasam tat samannahi. Sarasam can mean many things. And this is just only few things. We can go indefinitely extracting the nectar. But rasa or sarasam can mean very gentle. So the holy name is very soft, very gentle. It says here, since the holy name consists of sweet-sounding syllables, which dance on the tongue. So it's very gentle. So we are not, even when we try to sing Hare Krishna, we try not to be very harsh or very gross about it. We put in emotion in chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. When we sing the Harinam, we try to hear what we are saying. Therefore, we try to focus on how we pronounce every syllable. Then Sarasam also means it is composed of pure spiritual substance, Sachid Ananda. This is all explanation by Sanatana Goswami. Yeah, you can turn it on. Sarasam also means Madhurya Rasa or Rag. The holy names are accompanied by all the various devotional relationships, the 9 rasas, headed by Shrigar, which is the Madhurya, the love. So this holy name is sweet because it contains in itself all the rasas. What else we have here? Attraction to Krishna. In the pure chanting of the holy names, all these varieties of prema rasa are manifest in the moods of both separation and meeting. When you are with Krishna, you are in meeting. You are in samyog. You meet Krishna. You are there in front of him. But we read also that sometimes Srimati Radharani, she fell into Vipralamba, although in front of Krishna. How is it possible? So that is what the holy name gives us. It's crazy. What else we have here? Virya Vishesh, special potency. The chanting of the holy name is extremely powerful. You know, it not just eliminate. That's not even on the list here. Actually, the pure name, we are not even talking of pure name, we are talking simply about the name, Nam Aparad, Nam Bas. They can eliminate all the sin from our existence, let alone the pure name. Pure name is like Chintamani, it gives you anything you desire for. Like when Kaushika, who was Vasishta Muni, he became Vasishta Muni. Kaushika was a great king, and he went out, he traveled out with his 100 sons. He had 100 sons, and then he went out for a royal hunting expedition. And then it is a custom that when a king travels in his country and meets sages who live simply, peacefully in hermitages, the king has to go there, offer his respect, and the sage has to invite the king for a sumptuous lunch. So that is the custom. Because if the king is this way respected by the sages, then the king will happily donate or give a charity to those sages so they can perform sacrifices. And then on the royal highway, they glanced onto this valley and they saw four little straw huts. And the king said to his sons, "You wait here, I will go down, I will meet the sage, I will offer my respect, but we will not go down there because there is not enough space for all of us. We will just, destroy his hermitage." So the king went down, and then he saw 2 brahmacharis washing clothes. And then he said, "I am King Kaushika. I came here to offer my respect to the sage. Where is he? Who is he?" And then the brahmachari said, "Oh, this is Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra Muni." Vishwamitra, he was very famous already, very famous throughout the universe. "Vishwamitra is in my kingdom and I didn't know about it. Oh, we just arrived a few months ago. Oh, I must fall at his feet immediately." So they invited him in front of Vishwamitra. He bowed down. And Vishwamitra said, "Oh, you come and I offer you a sumptuous feast. You must not leave without me offering you a feast." And then the king said, "But wait, you have nothing. There's only a few huts you have. How will you, and also how will I eat without my 100 sons? No, you just come, no problem. Everything is arranged for you." And then the king tried to insist, Vishwamitra was very persistent, and then Kaushika said, "Oh, I better do what he says. I don't want to anger him so that he curses me." So he went up to the highway and he said to his army and his 100 sons, "Okay, let's go. We're going to have a feast." So they went all down, but everyone was confused. They had like 12-wheel chariots. And into this little valley, they actually, as soon as they started going down, the whole army, 100 sons, all those horses, suddenly they noticed it wasn't a little hermitage anymore. It was a splendid city with palaces, with gardens, with fountains and everything. And they were just bewildered because previously, like seconds ago, they saw 4 little huts. And now there is this city bigger than the king's own capital city. And then from one palace came out Vishwamitra and said, "Oh, come on, don't waste time. The prasadam is getting cold." And they arranged a beautiful park. There was this shaded park from the sun, and everyone sat down. And then Kaushika said, "But what is your plan? What are you giving us? How will we eat? There are no plates, there are no servers." And then Vishwamitra said, "You just desire whatever you wish. You just desire whatever plate you want, and I will manifest it for you." And then the king, "Okay, sounds interesting. Let me try." And the king said, "I want a diamond plate for my entire army," and a diamond plate. And then suddenly everyone started, "Oh, boy, this is working. This is fantastic." So one general, he said, "I want to eat what Indra eats for his birthday." And then there was this beautiful heavenly prasad represented, and everyone was happy. Everyone ate as much as they can fill their belly with, and there was a very good mood. But Kaushika became very, well, how can we say, upset? Yeah, envy came out of his heart. How is it possible this simple sadhu has more than what I have? You know, I'm the king of this realm. I should have all this. So he approached the sage Vasishta and he asked, "How is it possible that you give us all this? Where is this all coming from? It's certainly not coming from your beard." Vishwamitra said, No, it's not my beard. I have a cow. I have a little cow." And he said, "Hey, Kamadenu, come over here." And then a wonderful, actually a special creature. She had a long braided tail. She had a lady head and a lady breast, but she had a cow body. And she came and she said, "You ordered, what do you want?" And then everyone was wondering, what do you mean, Kamadenu? What is this cow? And then Vishwamitra explained that this cow came out of the churning of the ocean during a previous era. And Vishnu gave this Kamadenu to Vishwamitra as a gift so that he can always perform yagyas. Because this Kamadenu is a wish-fulfilling cow. She has all the transcendental potency to give everything to whoever asks from. And this way, Vishwamitra will not depend on Kshatriyas to donate for his yagyas. He will always have. "Ooh, I want this cow," said Kaushika. "I want this cow now. So I will give you 1,000 cows, best quality. You give me this Kamadenu." Vishwamitra laughed. "Why would I trade her for 1,000,000 cows even? If you give me 1,000 Kamadenus, then maybe I consider, otherwise no business." And then this back and forth was going, and the king were getting hyped up more and more upset, more envious, more angry. He really, really, really wanted that cow. And he resulted in violence. He said, "I'm the king, I'm the ruler of this land, anything is on this land is mine, I'm taking her. And Vishwamitra said, anything which is on this land is yours, my lord. But look, Kamadhenu, her feet are not touching the ground. Her feet were 10 centimeters above the ground. She was actually levitating. So this cow is not yours. Wow, this angered Vishwamitra, Kaushika, and then he just grabbed the cow with his 100 sons, and they tried to take her. Of course, the cow got upset, and Vishwamitra was still very composed. He didn't got angry, and then he said, look, my lord, I'm happy to give her to you, but you can see that she doesn't want to go. I don't want to give it to her because she is not happy going with you. But no, and this and that, and I will take her and that. Okay, Vishwamitra said, I have to do something, otherwise this is going out of control. And then he said, okay, I won't hurt you because you will go back to your kingdom and you can raise more 100 sons, but where are your 100 sons? Show them to me. And then the king was very proud and said, they are here, all lined up to fight you and beat you. And then Vishwamitra just glanced over his shoulder. Didn't even look at them straight. He just glanced over his shoulder, and they all, in that instant, burned to ash. Just like that. And the king was like shocked. And then Vishwamitra said, my dear lord, unless you want to also follow your sons and become a pile of ash, I suggest you quickly leave. And this is what happened. The king quickly left. So why am I saying this? Because even more powerful than Kamadhenu is the holy name. Very powerful. It can give us anything we desire. No limit. The holy Sarasam is also Guna Vishesh, indicating in the present context that Nam Sankirtan has the power to deliver the most fallen persons in this world. And exceptional happiness, Sukha Vishesh, Harinam is the most concentrated essence of happiness. Right? So, now we are arriving at the Rasa Tattva. In few words, again I'm emphasizing, we are not going through the entire science of Rasa, but just to give you a little overview, we know that the ecstatic love, the component of ecstatic love is divided in 5 categories. One is called Vibhava. Vibhava is what the cause of devotional service. What causes my ecstasy? You know, it comes from something or someone or some element. It needs to be that cause. Second is called Anubhav. When something inspires me or reminds me of Krishna, I will naturally express that happiness. That's called Anubhav. These are voluntary expressions. This could be dancing, singing, you know, raising the hand when we say, Jai, Jai, Shri Radhe! So some of you, not all of them, naturally raise your hand. So that's an expression, that's Anubhava. Then we have Sattvika Bhavas, which are, so Anubhava voluntary, I do it, but Sattvikas are involuntary. They manifest as a side effect of the previous. Oh, there are several. Just quickly, okay, we have Stamba, Sveda, Romancha. Who knows what Romancha is? Romancha, Kampa, Shrutaranga. ending the hairs on the end. So that's one of them. Vepatu, Vairanya, Ashru, Pralaya, so many. So these are all involuntary expressions. And then we have Yabhichari, the temporary emotional state that supports and intensifies devotion. Vyabhichari is also known Sanchari Bhava. It's another name. Oh, I'm going to read this. This is so nice. Act as waves that arise in the ocean of Sthai Bhava, adding depth, movement, and variety to the devotee's spiritual experience. So I see a peacock feather. It reminds me of Krishna. I automatically raise my hand and happily chant Hare Krishna. And while I do that, my hair stands on end, and Vyabhichari, in my heart, deep emotions arise. You cannot see them. They are supportive of the previous, but they are there. This makes sense? Rupa Goswami lists 33 Vyabhichari Bhavas. 33. Again, we're not going to go through them because that's just not the purpose of this class, and we are almost running out of time. And we have also something called Sthai Bhavas. Sthai Bhava. It's the permanent devotional emotion. Permanent. That is actually something which always exists. Every living entity has his own identification in relation to Krishna. And these are what we would call the stages of our relation. The Shanta, Ras, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. This is called the Sthai Bhava. And within those, various emotions arise. Mother Yashoda will have a different Sthai Bhava to the Gopas, or the Gopis, or the cows. This makes sense? Right? Okay. So I'm going to just go through the Vibhav little bit. It refers to the stimuli. So what is that which reminds me of Krishna? So Vibhava is a stimulus. It has two categories. One is called the alambana, and the other is called udipana. Have you heard about this? You heard about them? So alambana is very important, refers to entities. So this is actually the core principle of the spiritual world, of the spiritual life. Without this, there is no rasa. Rasa consists of Vishay alambana and Ashray alambana. In any shape, form, state, condition, there must be these two to experience rasa. We are currently actually studying this through the guidance of His Holiness Srila Shivaram Maharaj. So I won't touch upon this, but this is where this knowledge comes from. So Visha is himself, Krishna himself, and Ashra is the devotee in the very core basic principles. It interestingly also translates to this material world. If we take, for instance, I don't have a glass of water here, but if we take, for instance, a glass of water and me, who is the Ashraya and who is the Vishaya? Shyamagori? Shyamagori said, Vishaya is the water and Ashraya is myself. How is that possible? I am the enjoyer. Because the water is the object of enjoyment, correct? So I can only enjoy as much that item provides. That item is full of smell, water, not exactly, but you understand. Smell, taste, so all of my senses will engage if I touch that item to my body. So in this respect, that item is the ashraya, he is the enjoyed. He is the enjoyer. I am enjoying it, and I am the enjoyed. So this is the material concept. And we can approach this on every level. How do we deal with this material world? And immediately, if you understand, it will turn around. Currently, because the spiritual world is upside down, everything is upside down, we think I am the enjoyer, that is the object of enjoyment. But no, it's opposite way around. This is a paradigm shift. We have alambana, and then we have udipan. We see this is the stimuli. It can be anything, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's dress, what type of dress Krishna wears, what is that famous word or a name of Krishna? Yellow, pitambara, yes? So you just say that and you immediately remember Krishna's dress, that's udipan. Anything which reminds us of Krishna is basically part of this vibhava. This makes sense? So unless we go through this systematically, unless we clear our heart from all the unwanted enemies, we will not comprehend what Lord Chaitanya goes through due course of these interactions. I will not attempt to go any further. This is already a very advanced topic, and I hope this was enough for you to entice you to study this topic on your own and see how it goes. And maybe more advanced devotees can talk about it later. Thank you very much. On this note, do you have any questions? We have still 1 minute. Michael.
If I pet a cow.
You pet a cow.
If I pet a cow, yeah, the cow also can enjoy this, right? So what are then, is it different because it's not an item, or?
That's a very good question. We are not talking now about, we are talking about ashraya and vishaya, but in regards of two living entities, not a living entity and an object. So the most important principle here is the relationship. The relationship. So when we understand that everything is based on this, that's where we can extract a rasa. If I'm interacting with another human being, let's say a wife and a husband, they interact. So who is the ashraya, who is the vishaya? Who is the enjoyer, who is the enjoyed? Any takings? The man is the enjoyer, the woman is the enjoyed. Any opposing thoughts?
I think it's mixed, both Vishaya.
We are hearing now both are Vishaya and Ashraya. Okay, the third option, the woman is the Ashraya, the man is the Vishaya. As a matter of fact, we can be both, but it depends on the consciousness and on the situation. And this is what the rasa means. It is fluent, it is live, it always changes. If you are petting a kamadhenu, absolutely conscious, transcendentally aware cow, then this applies, this fluent rasa, this interaction between applies. At one moment, you are the enjoyer, she is the enjoyed. At the next moment, she is the enjoyer, you are the enjoyed. But if we are petting a general living entity whose consciousness is not that advanced, then it will always revert to that original principle, then I am the enjoyed, she is the enjoyer, without her completely understanding that. Because I'm the conscious living entity, so it comes from my understanding, how I perceive this relationship. This makes sense? This answers the question? Okay. Thank you very much. Wasn't it too advanced, a little bit? Yes. Okay, I thank you for your attention. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Nitai Go Premanande.
Praise Vaiṣṇava Prabhu ki.